Alrighty, guys, good afternoon to you all here. It is August 5th, 2025. Hope you guys are all having a wonderful, wonderful day today. And we have got a lot, once again, to talk about. We'll have a pretty good, lengthy couple of videos over the next couple of days and going into next week. So we've just got a lot of tropics weather to talk about. We're going to break that down again today with the newest updates, talk about the ensembles, talk about what's going to happen here as a U.S. potential landfall next week could be on the table. A lot of the models are starting to shift a little bit on the westward track toward the United States next week. Not set in stone yet. There's still a lot of time to watch this, but I am starting to get a little bit more concerned each day that passes by with some of these storms. Now, we aren't going to be, really, really more concerned until we get an official name storm or an official low that gets designated. So we're hoping that that will happen in the next couple of days. But we could have a tropical depression or tropical storm headed toward the United States or out to sea as soon as next Monday or Tuesday. And that's really not that long. We're talking 5 to 6 days. So we're going to be watching this like a hawk, keeping you guys updated. We also got some significant severe weather to cover for today as well. We'll be live covering severe weather this afternoon and talking about the tropics all day today, as always, here for you guys. And we've got tornadoes possible this afternoon across North Dakota, South Dakota, western Minnesota, large hail, and that they're out for damaging winds this afternoon as well. But we're really going to be more hammered in on the tropics here, as we've just got a lot of stuff going on. So if you live in coastal areas from the Northeast down to Florida and up toward the Gulf, you need to be watching out. You need to be heads up. It is that time of the year where things are going to get crazy, as I've mentioned the last couple of days now. And we'll see that uptick through much of the month of August here, going into September and October as peak season gets here. So we'll talk about all that here in just a minute. I'm going to break down the satellite imagery here from what you're seeing this morning. We got a huge upper level complex of storms that's moving through up towards North Dakota, South Dakota. That's leaving by an outflow boundary or a couple of outflow boundaries that'll be out this afternoon that'll help with tornado genesis. We'll talk about what that looks like here in just a moment. But the threat for severe weather up into the Dakotas today in western Minnesota and northwest Iowa will be possible. All modes of severe weather possible today. We've also got the threat for some general thunderstorms back down here into the southeast. You can see that cold front swinging through. Once this cold front pushes off, we will start to see a low pressure system tighten here, allowing for the potential for a tropical depression or tropical storm by the weekend here that could be making landfall somewhere on the East Coast by the weekend. So we'll more than likely have tropical system coverage this weekend for you guys, as we will be watching that system for the threat for heavy rainfall, some rip current issues, maybe some low end storm surge, as well as the chance for a couple of tornadoes this weekend with that tropical system. So we'll give you guys an update on that. You can see Dexter on the right side of your screen. Actually, you cannot see Dexter. Let me zoom out here so you guys can see what's left of Dexter here. You can see Dexter on the right side of your screen over here. This is what's left of it. Some dry air intruding in. Also, that wildfire smoke moving out of Canada also intruding in on it, making the system look a lot less organized this morning. That will continue to weaken as it approaches up towards the North Central American Atlantic Ocean there. Not the American, but the Atlantic Ocean, I should say. We've also got a blob of convection down here that's still ongoing, just a bunch of thunderstorms down off the coast of the Bahamas here, and really not much elsewhere going on here. The Ohio Valley, the Great Lakes here, down in the plains, everybody else is mostly quiet. The West Pacific is mostly quiet. We'll talk about what all that looks like here in the future in just a few moments. Breaking down the satellite imagery across the Atlantic Ocean here, this is something we're going to start showing each day. We have one wave, two waves, tropical storm Dexter, a condensation condensed area of convection here that could move its way toward the Gulf and give us potentially even a low and sneak attack storm going into the weekend here. Some of the ensembles are picking up on a tropical depression potentially developing toward the Gulf later on this weekend as well, and that is not yet highlighted by the National Hurricane Center. So we got a lot going on, guys. A lot of information we're going to be giving out to you guys over the next couple of days. This first wave right here is what we are watching that could be working its way toward the northwest here through the weekend and into next week, or I should say the rest of this week into the weekend and into next week. And then this is the wave that I think the European and the GFS are picking up on past the August 15th period that also could be causing some problems. So what I'm getting at here, like I said, is the ocean is going to be wild. We are going to have tropical wave after tropical wave after tropical wave that is going to start to emerge off the coast here, and we got to watch each one like a hawk. The good thing is it takes some time to get these waves over to our area. So if there were to be any United States impacts, we've got a lot of time to watch it and see what happens with it. So the not great news is watching the systems that develop over here near the coast, which is what we are watching currently right now. So we're going to watch this. We'll keep you guys updated on that. Here is the latest National Hurricane Center updates. Here you can see we now have an upgraded orange blob. We have two orange blobs here, both on the central and the east coast here, central Atlantic Ocean and up toward the east coast here. The upgrade here to a now 40% chance of a tropical depression or storm developing in the next 7 days here, 10% chance in the next 48 hours. So we're starting to see those odds, as I expected, go up here for the east coast. We're not expecting a hurricane on the east coast this weekend. This could be a very weak tropical system, but mostly going to be talking about heavy rainfall, the rip current potential issue, as well as the tornado threat with any tropical tornadoes that set up. So we'll be watching this very, very closely here over the next 3 to 4 days here. We've also got our next next system here, as you guys have been seeing, they've been shifting this a little bit further west each day that this has been updated. So that's why I'm getting concerned that we could see the potential for a landfalling even hurricane next week. It's not off the table. Still think that we could still just see this thing potentially shift off to the northeast. That is still a scenario, but the European model is starting to kind of cave in a little bit to the GFS ensembles, or the European ensembles are going to be caving into the GFS ensembles. There's still some difference in with the models here, and we're not really going to get those established until we officially get a system named, or at least a designated load that sets up, or an invest, I should say. So we do have that X out there for that potential, but we haven't gotten an official invest yet. So once the models grab onto that invest, they know that there's a low there, we'll start to see the computer models work, and we'll be able to get an idea on what this is going to do going into next week. But it's not time to freak out. But what I would do, if you're on the East Coast, if you're up in the Northeast, or if you're in the Gulf, you need to start getting those preparation plans ready to go here. You should have that already. We talked about that back in June when hurricane season started. Just because we've had a quiet period does not mean that things are going to stay quiet. We are going to continue to see the threat for tropical systems ramping up here. So both a 50% chance and a 40% chance, pretty decent good odds here for tropical storm development. The next name on the list would be Aaron, and then we would have, I believe it's Ferdinand, I believe is the next name after that. So we'll keep you guys updated on that. Taking a look at our ensembles here, I want to talk about this. These are the latest GEFS ensembles here. This is a bunch of GFS model runs, all 51 members. Both will show the GFS and the European here. You can see Dexter, that will be continuing to move its way off to the north there, but this is what we're starting to see a difference in. Is we saw yesterday the GEFS had some models kind of simulating a fish storm turn. We're starting to see this shift its way west here, and that's not good, guys. That would be giving us some land impacts and maybe even some United States impacts. You can also see the GEFS ensembles even picking up on a weak tropical disturbance this weekend here. The model's kind of backed off on the GEFS on this weekend's threat off the East Coast. We'll just kind of see how things go here. A lot of uncertainty on both of those, but this main wave coming out here next coming up week here, going into next week, could bring some problems to our area if that were to continue to trend. That is the GEFS ensembles. We have the European ensembles here. This is, I believe, the latest European ensembles here. Still have a pretty big trend with one of our waves moving off here, but there's going to be a secondary wave behind this here that is starting to emerge that could be heading our direction, or maybe toward the Caribbean here, where water temperatures are also very warm. So what I'm getting at here, guys, is we're still very, very uncertain on what's going to happen with these two waves going into next week here. We could see U.S. impacts. We could not see U.S. impacts. It's a lot. There's just a lot going on right now. And so until, like I said, we officially get a low pressure established, or a named storm, or anything that these models can grab onto to, forward progress this thing, we're kind of sitting in the unknown, and that's going to continue to happen. So we could sit here and speculate all we want with model runs and these wild scenarios that model runs are putting out, because trust me, the model runs are putting out wild scenarios, but the GFS and the European showed at highest scenario a Cat 5 going toward the United States yesterday. And I don't buy that right now, because the ensembles are what we have to look at over 7 days out, not the dermatistic runs. But there's going to be people out there, like I said, that show this model runs that try to scare you guys. So just be mindful of what you see on social media, because that stuff is invalid and wrong, and they're going to probably look very, very not smart once that does not verify. So anyways, like I said, we'll be watching this. If things start to trend up, like I said, in terms of us having United States impacts, we will definitely be on here talking about it for sure. But those are your ensembles, both the European and the GFS ensembles for today. I'll go ahead and talk about what's going to be happening for severe weather today. We have a big level 2 slight risk here for North Dakota and South Dakota for the threat of a couple of tornadoes today. We'll have the damaging wind threat and the hail threat. I still wouldn't be shocked to see SPC pull the enhanced trigger at 3 o'clock this afternoon. We'll see for a large hail threat or maybe a wind threat, depending on what the models do this afternoon. But right now, level 2 slight risk in the yellow. Dark green here is the marginal. Tornado risk is elevated today, meaning we do have a chance for a couple of tornadoes. 2 and 5% here from Bismarck down to Pierre. This is for a pretty good amount of North and South Dakota here, so you need to be weather aware if you're in those states today. Like I said, we'll be live covering this afternoon once watches come out. 15% and 5% wind threat for winds up to 70. Could see some 75 plus mile an hour wind gusts embedded in there if anything kind of clusters or gets line segment going. And then we'll have the hail threat as well for hail up to 2 inches in diameter. I wouldn't be shocked to see this hatched or see at 30 get introduced later on. So that's for today. We'll talk about the timing on that here in just a minute. We get to tomorrow, and we have a marginal risk as well for today, or for tomorrow, I should say. Western Minnesota back down into western Iowa, northern Nebraska, South Dakota, North Dakota here. I would probably see this getting upgraded to a slight either today or tomorrow, just given what we're seeing with the conditions out there. Less than 2% tornado risk as of right now for tomorrow, but not 0. So there could be a couple of tornadoes tomorrow. The wind threat at 5 and the hail threat at 5. And then we get to the day 3 outlook, and we got a wonky risk zone on your Thursday here, as we have a marginal risk from basically northeastern portion portions of Washington State. You heard that correct. Yes, severe weather in Washington State on Thursday here, back down into Montana and all the way up into North Dakota, South Dakota, getting into western Minnesota. Very low end day on Thursday. I don't expect too much of an issue on Thursday. It's Friday that we are watching out for. As I mentioned yesterday, a little bit more of a shift in our risk zone for Friday here. We have a level 2 risk out of 5 on the day 4-8 through 8 outlook here for tornadoes, wind, and hail, all possible both on Friday here, and then we'll have the system progress eastward into Saturday and Sunday, but Minnesota, North Dakota, and South Dakota will once again be the targets on Friday. All modes of severe weather will be possible. We'll be watching for, once again, tornadoes, wind, and very large hail, so we'll keep you guys updated on that, possibly looking at risk zones in the future as well going forward with the time there. We'll talk about what's going to happen this afternoon here, just give you guys a brief overrun timeline here, and like I said, storms, supercells will start to initiate around 3 to 4 o'clock this afternoon, so really here in the next 3 to 4 hours, we'll start to see storms initiate. Initially, large hail, wind threats. If storms can become surface-based, we will have a tornado threat. The issue is going to be what happens this evening. What happens if these storms grow upscale? Do we see more supercells? The models are simulating here, at least the NAM3K and the HER are showing a kind of a growing of an upscale of a line segment here, where we could see some stronger wind gusts, some embedded tornadoes for the afternoon and evening hours tonight. This would be coming through northern portions of South Dakota, southern portions of North Dakota, western Minnesota around 8 to 9 o'clock tonight. And then eventually by 10, 11 o'clock, this will be pushing into Minnesota and be weakening through the overnight hours tonight, as we will see that decaying MCS potentially leave an outflow boundary down for tomorrow's storm. So we've got a lot of things out there today, just kind of taking a look at the instability here as well. Like I said, instability is in full force today. We'll have some pretty decent amount of instability up there in that 2,500 range, maybe pushing 3,000 joules per kilogram of instability. Not too worried about there not being instability out there. We'll take a look at the tornado parameters out there as well, just to kind of show you guys what we're looking at. And, a pretty decent favorable tornado environment today. So I'm, interested to see what happens with these today. We could definitely get some photogenic tornadoes out there in the fields today if you are out there chasing, or if there is anybody that watches this that chases. But if you are out in the areas that live in these areas here, be safe, be weather aware, have alerts on your phones, know where to go when you get warnings, all of that stuff, etc., as you guys know of. And we'll talk more about that in the stream this afternoon. I'm not going to do an overall global run today. You guys can watch yesterday's video if you want a global run in terms of what's going to happen over the next couple days. I'm going to leave this video out where it's at because that's a lot of information for you guys. We'll talk more globally, all that stuff on the stream this afternoon and this evening. Tonight we'll have a more in-depth video tomorrow on what's going to happen over the next 5 to 7 days with the tropics. But other than that, we're watching the tropics, we're watching severe weather. We'll keep you guys updated. Stay tuned to the latest here, as you guys will get the most reliable weather coverage as always from me. I appreciate y'all for watching. Any comments, questions, concerns, leave them in the comments section. Leave a like and share the video out, and I will appreciate you guys as always. Other than that, have a wonderful day and be safe, guys.